What's up, you guys? Thanks for tuning into another video. Come in a little bit closer and let me tell you why I left California and came over here to the Lone Star State of Texas. And as you could tell, I couldn't be happier. So you guys, let me tell you a little bit of a backstory. If you were watching my videos last year, I talked about it all the time. And you know, over the course of the pandemic, I felt like California really went, but it started even before that. And I'm going to tell you a little story. So in the early 1980s, my parents left Russia and came to the United States. I was 3 years old. And where did we go? California, Hollywood. My dad had actually dreamt about coming to California ever since he was a kid. And so he finally made it and got to LA. Now, back then, LA was a beautiful place, the land of dreams, the land of opportunity. All the businesses were coming, the movies were being filmed in Hollywood, that we had the beaches, the sunshine, and of course, it was a conservative state. Coincidence or not? And then you guys, slowly over the next 20-25 years, California became the embarrassment to the country that it is today. Sorry, I know I'm being harsh, but it is the truth. Before the pandemic, people had to make a choice. So when you look at the scales, for a lot of people, it was still tipped in favor of staying. And then came the pandemic. And guys, this is really the big reset for a lot of people. Because once you shut down the schools, once you shut down businesses, and people saw that government can take away your freedoms and your liberties and all of these other things. And by the way, guys, this is not a political video, notwithstanding what I said earlier. It's really all about quality of life and where you want to be to raise your family. So when you put all of that together, when the pandemic happened, as you know, if you watched my videos, I really started thinking about where I want to be for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And unfortunately, LA and California was not the place. And so we started evaluating where we should go, and we picked Texas. Ultimately, Texas was the place for me. I love the mindset, I love the people, I love everything going on in Texas, and so that's what we picked. That's, by the way, guys, why I took a little break from YouTube, and so now we're back. I'm filming videos from right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and on today's video, I'm gonna share some amazing reasons why we left California and why we chose Texas. And so, guys, here we go. All right, you guys, so one of the main reasons that we left California and came to Texas, I know I told you this isn't a political video, but the overall direction of the state is something that really concerned me. So look, guys, if you're living somewhere, it's kind of like if you're working for an employer. If you don't believe in the product, if you don't like what they're selling, if you don't like the culture, if you don't like the management, that's probably not going to be a good place for you to work. You're probably not going to do your best stuff there. It's the same thing with where you live. So living in California, for me at least, became a very toxic place. You see, everything going on there, the policies which are not business friendly, the ridiculously high taxes, the lockdowns, the fact that the government could just shut down your business based on their own hypocritical stuff was something that didn't really sit well with me. And when I looked ahead and kind of forecast the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years, you see, in California, the Democrats have a super majority. They can pretty much pass any ridiculous, crazy law that they want, and there's nothing that can be done about it. There isn't even a discussion to be had because they just shut those down. That is really not something that I wanted to participate in. It's also not something that I wanted to contribute my tax dollars to. Here in Texas, guys, I gotta tell you, contrary to what everyone thinks, it is not just some crazy red state. There's actually a really nice balance. In the last election that we just had for school board, for example, in my neighborhood, there were signs for both candidates, and the neighbors are still friendly. It's not like people hate each other if you're on the other side of the aisle, and I did see a lot of that in California. That kind of conversation and discourse, I think, creates better policy and creates a better future for the state. And so when I was looking for a new state and a new home, I wanted to be somewhere that I was really on board with what was going on in the state down the line. And Texas is definitely somewhere where I agree with way more of the policies than I did in California. So overall direction of the state was a big factor in us leaving California and coming here to Texas. All right, you guys. So the next reason that we left California and came here to the Lone Star State is the business climate. You've heard me talk about this on other videos, but the numbers speak for themselves. So you guys, in almost every ranking of the most business-friendly states, California ranks either dead last or really near the bottom in almost every category related to business. I'm talking about business taxation, I'm talking about business regulation, friendliness to businesses, and everything in between. So what that means is that if you are starting a business or you're running a business, California is one of the worst places to do it. And guys, the proof is really in the pudding. A lot of companies, a lot of businesses have left the state over the last couple of years. You probably know the most famous ones. We got Tesla, we got Charles Schwab, we got Ameritrade, we got Hewlett-Packard. There are so many companies that have moved their headquarters away from California over to Texas or Florida or other states. And so that was definitely an impact on us. As you guys know, I run what is in essence a small business. We have several different companies. We have real estate, we have real estate investing, we have the YouTube channel, now the podcast, and other businesses related to real estate and those kinds of things. And so when you're running companies in California, I really have no other way to put this, it's a pain in the ass. There's regulation, there's high taxes, there's other issues related to running businesses there, and it's just not really a fun thing to do. But here in Texas, guys, it is extremely business friendly. Texas always ranks at the top or near the top of business-friendly states. And that's a combination of low taxes and low regulation. So it's fun to run companies here. You could start new businesses for not a lot of money. You can run them for less money, and you don't have a lot of oversight and regulation in terms of the way you run them, in terms of employee-employer issues, and other things that are just a nightmare in California. So guys, I hate to say this, but if you're running a business or if you're planning on starting a business, you really want to be somewhere that is business friendly. And unfortunately, California is not that place. But Texas is definitely up there as one of the best. And that, my friends, is one of the main reasons that we took off from California and came here to Texas. All right, guys, and the next reason that we took off from California and came here to Texas is overall cost of living. Now, guys, look, I got to tell you, and I'm not saying this in any kind of conceited way or stuck-up way or anything like that. We could have stayed in California. Yes, it's expensive, but not prohibitively so. But I got to tell you, since we've been here in Texas, the fact that the cost of living is so much lower is really a huge benefit. And I'm going to tell you why in just a second, but let's go over the main factors. First and foremost, of course, guys, we have housing, and housing is a lot less expensive here in Texas, although it is going way up because of all the Californians coming here. Don't California my Texas. I can now say that. So when you come here, make sure you don't try to change everything. Anyway, back to housing. So housing is a lot cheaper here, guys. So you can either buy the same house for a lot less, or you can get a much bigger house for the same amount of money. That is really a great thing for most people. If you're renting, the rent is less expensive and all of that other stuff. Now, I will tell you guys, property taxes here are a little bit more, so that's definitely a consideration, but not prohibitively so. And there's also things like the homestead exemption and stuff like that. Also, guys, I will say this isn't really a cost of living. This might be more of a business climate type of thing. But if you want to invest in real estate, there's a lot more opportunity here because the prices are lower. So whereas in LA, for example, you know, if you want an investment property, a tear down, you're paying over $1 million. Here you can find something for $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. And I've talked about that on my other videos, like starting a side hustle. You can check that out, of course, here on the channel. So we talked about housing. Let's talk about gas for a second. That's definitely been in the news. Average price of gas in California, I think, might be like $25 a gallon. No, I'm just kidding. But it's definitely like over $5. And here, up until a few days ago, gas was under $3. I just saw it going up to like $3.05, $3.09 or something like that. But still, guys, I got to tell you, if you drive a lot, think about that on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis. The price of gas is huge. Let's talk about another one, guys, and that is schooling for your kids. So in LA, as you guys might know if you watch some of my videos, the public schools sucked. And so we had to send our kids to private school. Any private school you go to in LA, that's going to cost you anywhere between $20,000 and $40,000 a year. Whereas here in Texas, we specifically found an area that has an amazing school district. Now, of course, you can find that in California, so I'm not going to completely poo-poo the California schools everywhere, but on an overall basis, the public schooling in California and especially in Los Angeles is pretty darn bad. Whereas here in Texas, we have amazing schools. So if you have 2 kids, 3 kids, even 1 kid, you guys, that is a huge savings. Remember, that's after tax money. So just those 3 things alone are huge. But then you add in other things like the cost of food, the cost of dining, groceries, eating out, all of these other things. And when you total it all up, the cost of living in Texas is much more affordable, and that's definitely bringing a lot of people here to Texas. So you guys, the next reason that we left California and came to Texas, this might come as a little bit of a surprise to you, is fun factor. Now, I am not saying that California is not fun, you guys. There are so many cool things to do there. There's entertainment, there's dining, you got the beaches, you got the weather. Wait a second, maybe this shouldn't be part of the video? No, it should. But guys, I gotta tell you, in Texas, the thing that makes it really fun here is there are a lot of things to do. They are affordable. You're close to a lot of stuff. And depending on what your hobbies are, there are a lot of fun things to do here that you cannot do in California. I'm talking about guns, car racing, hunting, all kinds of cool stuff that you can do here that you really can't do there. And I'm also going to touch on one other thing when it comes to fun factor. So being in the middle of the country is something that I never really thought about, but it's actually turned out to be super cool. You see, with business, with fun, with pleasure, I can go west 2.5 hours to get back to LA, although it's not really a place I want to visit, especially with some of the new mandates going in, but we'll save that for another video. Or you can go east 2.5 hours and you're in the sunshine state of Florida, where we have a lot of family and friends, so you can hit the beaches over there. You're also only a few hour flight away from, let's say, Cabo San Lucas, where we're going later this year, Mexico, or you can go to Cancun the other way. So overall, guys, although I know what you're thinking, California is a lot more fun of a state, I will tell you that we're having a blast here in Texas. There are so many things to do. I forgot to mention golf. Golf is great here. And although there is some really good golf in LA, it's super expensive, or you have to join a private club. Whereas here in Texas, there's a lot of great golf at public courses and semi-private courses and all kinds of other stuff. So we're having a blast. It's a really fun state to be in. And so if you're leaving somewhere like California, you definitely don't have to worry about losing out on the fun factor. So there you have it, guys. I've given you some amazing reasons why we moved from California to Texas. Now, look, if you're in California and you're considering leaving, I got one thing to say to you. Do it. You'll never look back. It's the best decision that I've ever made for my family, that we've ever made as a family. We're loving it here. The kids have acclimated so well. We've acclimated so well. It's a great place to be. Now, I'm not telling you to come here to Texas, but if you do, remember, don't California my Texas. Have I said that already on this video? It's that important. But you can go anywhere. Florida is an amazing state. Tennessee's fantastic. There are a lot of states that are welcoming to people, to businesses, and that want you there. Unlike California, that really doesn't care whether you stay or whether you go based on their policies and everything that they are saying. So guys, thanks for tuning into the video today. Don't forget to check out that podcast and also like this video, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I will see you on the next video.